This is the Chapter 1 assignment video. The first problem reads, a survey of 500 students at college found that 10% planned on traveling out of the country during spring break. So the population is the responses of all the college students. So that's what we want to know. We're trying to figure out what percent of all college students will be traveling. The sample that we take, though, however, is the 500. So we surveyed 500 college students. So the sample would be the responses of the 500 students that were surveyed. The population that we're interested in learning about is the responses of all the college students. What would they say if we were able to ask them all? The second part has to do with qualitative data versus quantitative. Eye colors, so brown, blue, hazel, that type of data is about a quality. So that is qualitative data. The weight of infants at a hospital, so that could be 6 pounds, 7.5 pounds. That data set is quantitative data because it's measuring something. Then these next questions have to do with the type of sampling method. So let's just look at these briefly. The first is cluster. And this is because the U.S. Department of Corrections collects data about returning prisoners by randomly selecting 5 federal prisons and surveying all the prisoners in each of the prisons. So we divided everybody up into groups. And so we're grouped by prison. And we only selected 5 of the prisons, of the federal prisons, out of all of them. But of the 5 that we chose, we surveyed all of the prisoners in each of those prisons. So that's cluster. The next one is systematic. So you are an observer at the local police's sobriety checkpoint at which every 5th driver was stopped and interviewed. So every 5th driver. That tells me we have a system of getting our sample. Number 8 is, in a Gallup poll, 1,003 adults were called after their telephone numbers were randomly generated by a computer, and 20% of them said that they get news on the internet every day. So how did we get our the answers? What we did was the computer randomly generated phone numbers. So that means that this is just a simple random sample. When we got the 1,003 adults, that was just random. Now this next one is kind of like cluster, but it's different. So number 9 is what we call stratified. And this says, in a study of college programs, 820 students are randomly selected from those majoring in communications. 1,463 students are randomly selected from those majoring in business, and 760 students are randomly selected from those majoring in history. So what we did was we got all of the programs that the college offered and only picked some of the students out of each group. So we grouped, just like in cluster, here we have groups of prisons, and number 9 we have groups, we have people grouped up by major, but this one is stratified because we're only getting some of the people out of each major. Whereas in number 8 we got all of the prisoners from the 5 groups. So here we only had some of the prisons and took all the prisoners out of the prisons. Here we had all of the majors but only took some of the students out of the majors. So those two are similar. Then the last is just convenience. It says a student of mine collected measurements of arm lengths from her family members. So this is just convenience. She happened to just ask people that were in her own family as a matter of convenience. So that method would be called convenience sampling.